the technical side since last 4 days actually. What is IP, different types of IPs, how we can protect our inventions basically. We are learning about, now at least we know the applicability of different types of IPs in our life as well as in our research and the activities, like, you know, when should we go for copyright, when should we go for trademark, when should we go for design, and when should we go for patents basically. We have been learning this, that one product can have multiple IPs as well. That's pretty much possible. We have also been discussing this, that it is not necessary to take a help of a patent agent or the IP experts or the lawyers, advocates. It is allowed that you do on your own if you understand it basically. Today, I'm going to speak about two topics actually. Rather, the two topics are interconnected. I've been informed that I'll have to speak on IPR policy basically. But then there is a bit of, I would say, problem when we think of IP in isolation basically. So what I have done is I have got this presentation divided into two parts. In the first part we'll speak about IP, and in the second part we are going to speak about IP in connection with certain policies, other policies, because we are a part of an ecosystem, and I believe that we just cannot isolate IP from your research policy, from your, let's say if you have an internal incubation policy, and like, you know, different activities that we have, because at the end of the day, we have, let's say there is an entrepreneurship cell working within the university. There is a training and placement cell working. Then let us, sir was discussing about the IP cell establishment, or then you have the you have the innovation incubation linkages department actually, like, you know, which is working differently within the same ecosystem. And at all the institutions, what happens, or the universities, is that many a times the activities are overlapping basically. And when we do IP in isolation, probably for like, you know, once you attend, so what happens is next time when you attend some other workshop, you forget everything about this, because the core focus has been only with respect to the IP. Now, so what I have done is, second session I have kept it connecting IP with incubation activities, how it is relevant, connecting IP with the NEP, New Education Policy, connecting IP with the startups basically. 20 साल 25 साल पहले, like, you know, the teachers were only expected probably only to teach. Thereafter came a time, no, you have to do some research as well. Came a time wherein, like, you know, the teachers were expected to do research. That's a kind of an add-on responsibility. Then came a time wherein, like, you know, maybe in last 6-7 years, 7-8 years, like, you know, suddenly there is a boom. Everyone speaks of IP awareness, everyone speaks of NIPM, everyone speaks of different policies. That point of time, the faculties are expected to actually, beyond research papers, go for some IP filing as well. Although administrative work, that is already there. We are part of NAC, we are part of NIRF, we have so many agencies asking for the same data in different format, and we are actually trying to do that day in, day out. NEP expects you to now not only teach, not only do research, not only I would say, doing these publications and IPs, NEP expects you to train the students in a way that whatever research we are doing, that is converted into a startup, as well as that startup should be generating money as well. Indirectly, we are, as a teachers, are expected to be now next generation entrepreneurs. हम खुद करें and then we should train our students as well accordingly. That's what is actually expected. And one of the major culprits for this has been this particular scene, which we have been discussing, I think, in and out since day one from the movie Three Idiots, wherein, like, you know, so we have Funsuk Wangdu, that character who is a scientist, and he is in Chatur Ramlingam's language, if we say, he is he is getting that multi-million-dollar deal. यही बोल के चतुर रामलिंगम आया हुआ है, right? Everyone expects that. The government expects, the agencies expect, or maybe the university expect you to come up with some research, and that's where the fundamental problem, I would say, with respect to creation of IP comes. We expect that whatever we are doing would raise money, and the money that comes in, उसका share क्या होना चाहिए, वहीं से IP policy में problems create होती है. हम किस stage पे हैं? We are at a stage जहाँ पे we are doing research actually. And what are we expected to? We are expected to do as a university or as an institution, as a department, that we should decide how much money should be given to the university, how much to the institute, how much to the department, how much to the individuals as well. But when we think of specifically policy, intellectual property rights policy perspective, IPR policy is just not about the percentage share. I have some classic cases, and let us try to answer these questions practically. The very first question is, one of the research student files a patent for an invention without informing the institute. What can the institute do then? Of course, we discussed this in my yesterday or day before yesterday's session as well. What can be done basically? What is the solution available? Patent Act gives a solution which is, I would say, in one of the sections wherein if it is your invention, you can approach the patent office, and that point of time the patent may be shifted in your name. But that's a kind of a legal process, and we have been discussing this. It's always better to prevent it basically. For all types of IP, if it is my invention, my creativity, I should be the one who should be getting the rights for that basically, right? So this need to be answered at some point of time. If it is not happening today, I think one of the professors yesterday or day before, I don't know whether she's there today, but she mentioned that her 12-year-old kid, you are the one, right? 12-year-old kid does some creative activity basically. Now ma'am is thinking of filing IP for the kid basically, right? Now if probably the whichever school she is actually, like, you know, the school may not know the significance, school may not know even that this can be protected, or school may not even know that this girl is doing this stuff. Am I correct? Now the same is applicable in case of your university as well. There may be students smarter than us. We have been hearing this Gen Z and what was the term? Boozy, right? We don't know what they are doing. They are coming up with certain inventions. We don't know what they are filing. They have better resources than us, actually, I would say, because they are accessing everything virtually online. हमें सर को दिन भर हाथ से साइन करने से ही टाइम नहीं मिलता है. This is the harsh reality, right? That's what, like, you know, probably our generation is actually. They have better access. What can be done then in that case when they do this? This is pretty much feasible. Practically speaking, the day you file a design for your daughter, and if the institute somehow, the school somehow comes to know what is the reaction actually. First of all, 99% in cases of schools, they may not understand basically. Now, but then imagine the same happening with your student. How are you gonna react? Not just the research that they have done or the UG project that they have carried out actually, like, you know, at the institute, but then there are certain similar questions that we'll try to answer with the IP policy. The second question is, one of the ex-employee, like an employee leaves the organization, takes the research how and publishes research paper with his new institute or organization. Pretty common? Yes, students can do, your PhD scholars can do this, employees can also do. You have, like, you know, at times you have a staff on contract basically. They have access to everything within the institute setup. They move out actually and they come up with, I would say, something like, you know, which may be a research paper. And you know, interestingly, like, you know, in one or two cases, last week I was in Jamnagar in Gujarat. Wahan pe we had one controller. He mentioned that he is fighting a case. He has a case wherein there are two colleagues. They did a joint research. One of them filed a patent, other didn't know. Now the other one is actually opposing the patent. Practically speaking, मेरे end से, मेरे perspective से, unbiased view से देखो तो, दोनों ने अगर साथ में काम किया है, तो एक बंदा खुद के रिसर्च को पेटेंट ना मिलने करके फाइट कर रहा है. Correct? Now this is practically situation. Like, you know, this is how it works. नहीं sir. So okay, he has filed an opposition. He hasn't filed. Okay, क्या होता है sir? When you come to me, I have two options for you. Sir, what do you want? You want it in your name? Then okay, show me the proofs and all. You have definitely worked. But then when we file, everyone has to be involved. The other parties say we won't get you involved actually, practically. Patent office would evaluate it based on the proofs and I would say the evidences that you would submit. In that case, when as an agent I know, sir, there is a slick chance that आपका नाम नहीं include किया जाएगा for this reason. There is a chance, let's say. In that case, he says, okay sir, इसको oppose कर दो. किसी को ना मिले. मुझे मला नाही मिळालं ना, कोणालाच नाही. Now, he is actually opposing his own research, and then the intent is that the IP should not be granted basically. Right? Common problem. देखो ऐसा है, if Mukesh bhai and Anil bhai fights for the name Reliance, definitely वो तो इतना बड़ा ये है तो we are तो like, you know, normal human beings, तो हम लोग भी fight करेंगे, like, you know, for whatever things, whatever we feel is a know-how or technical insights or the property or the intellectual property for that sake. Right? तो ये तो होगा. Right? Now, the next thing is this crazy. A professor files a patent, institute provides funding, invention gets commercialized. Who would take the licensing fee? The institute or the professor? All professors would say, of course, हमें चाहिए. The institute would say, yes, we, like, you know, we have the provided, because there is no legal binding. When you are working with a corporate, there is a legal binding. The day you sign employment contract, उसमें लिख के आ रहा है, IP vests with the corporate. You are getting paid for what you are doing, and the IP would vest with the corporate only. What about the in case of institutes then? Now, of course, these are some of the reasons why you need an IPR policy. These are some of the questions that, and of course, it is always better to avoid these situations rather than, I would say, like, you know, facing them as a challenge later on that hum log isko kaise deal kare. When a student leaves or maybe a professor, I know, okay, as long as IP is filed, IP is registered, no one is bothered. I'll tell you an interesting case. There is this one company based in Vadodara called, it's a pharma company, I won't name the company. They had one of the very few deals of out licensing. Now, that was in 2007. 2007, the year when the deal was done, all employees, maybe whatever number of employees were there in that organization, उन सबके CV में वो deal का लिख के आता है. Reason being, everyone feels I contributed to this. Deal हुआ है. Credit लेने के लिए everyone is coming to you. The day it gets commercialized, I'll tell you what happens at my home actually, like, you know, when I speak about these things as such. Something good happens. My 5-year-old daughter, she comes to me, Papa, this is all because of me. मैं तुमसे प्यार करती हूँ, तुम मेरे लिए कर रहे हो ना, मैं तुम्हें मोटिवेट करती हूँ. पता नहीं ये मोटिवेशन वर्ड उसको कहाँ से पता चला है. She must have heard me speaking sometime over a call, or probably then, like, you know, maybe in any of the, I would say, उनके TV cartoon shows में कहीं से. That's what she says. She is even willing to take the credit of whatever good happens. यहाँ तो money आ रहा है. What is the amount of money? No one is bothered actually. Everyone wants a pie of it. First, the students who were from, practically मैं बताता हूँ, a student जिसको faculty ने बहुत push किया, भाई तू आके काम कर, अपना thesis complete कर, तेरा deadline आ रहा है. Yes, many faculties have this experience. Student को call करके बुलाना पड़ता है. Practical problem. Second problem, within the institute setup, within the university setup or outside, see, you don't have access to everything. आपके control में हर चीज नहीं है. You are dependent on outsiders. हमारे pharma में you need, if you want to do the animal studies, you are dependent on pharmacology lab, right? Pharmacology lab, unless, okay, so we are part of an ecosystem wherein everyone is having their faces in different directions. Pharmacology lab वाला pharmaceutics का invention का preclinical studies करेगा ही नहीं. सारा credit Sutix को मिल जाएगा. But now उसने करके दिया after बहुत पीछे पर. Sir इतना सा कर दो बस, मेरे PhD का सवाल है. Right? वो कर दिया. Now, the day the product gets commercialized, hey, we did the animal study. You outsource the work outside, kahin pe we send it for XRD, SCM and other studies. The third party lab whom you have paid already, they are also there to take the credit. The institute, let's say the HOD or the principal, probably who practically the administrative authorities do not know what's happening at the core research ground level. Utna time nahi hai. But it's a part of the institute. They are ready to take the credit. I'm not speaking only in terms of taking the credit. I'm speaking about taking the pie of the money. Right? The same thing the university says. Fortunately, university is a government university. Government university है तो government भी ready है to take a pie of it. We are the ones who are funding you, right? We were the ones who gave you, like, you know, through some grant these particular instruments. Does everyone have agar wo share? So there was this, if you have seen long back, there was this one movie called Malamal Weekly. रितेश देशमुख की मूवी है, देखो अगर आपने देखी हुई है तो, like you know, in that movie there is a lottery, और परेश रावल को कुछ लॉटरी का टिकट मिलता है. It's about that lottery ticket. That lottery ticket is your IP commercialization. सब उसके पीछे भाग रहे हैं. At the end it's a lottery ticket. वो पता भी नहीं है कितना बड़ा अमाउंट है, वहां पे तो अमाउंट दिखाया हुआ था, like you know, ऐसे. Now, so everyone wants a share of it now, and how are you going to resolve it? Just for one, I would say, deal or one kind of, I would say, IP commercialization, how are you actually going to resolve it basically? It is going to create kind of problems within the ecosystem moving ahead. Now, this is different. A mechanical engineer, engineering professor, beyond office hours, okay, provides consultancy and develops IP. I want to know the answer from your end, which is in only in the mechanical engineering field. आप जो कॉलेज में कर रहे हो रिसर्च, आप जिस डिपार्टमेंट के हो, उसी का आप कुछ रिसर्च कर रहे हो बियॉन्ड ऑफिस आवर्स, 8:30 से 4:30 के बियॉन्ड, घर जाके कर रहे हो, कहीं और जाके कर रहे हो. नाउ files a patent, gets the product commercialized. Does the institute have any legal right over the invention? Yes? Yes or no? Yes? No? How many of you say yes? How many of you say no? Why does the institute, like, you know, why is it that the institute doesn't have any right? So, okay, what about the technical know-how? What do you mean by technical know-how? Whatever research you are doing as a part of, you're guiding your master's student, you're guiding your PhD, as a part of employment, उसमें जो आप expertise create कर रहे हो, you're using that expertise beyond office hours. Who owns the IP? You own the IP is fine. How you file it, how it gets granted is fine. Does the institute have any say in that? Practically speaking, your entire invention is based on what you do throughout the day. You're just doing the practicals after going home. मतलब सर आप होमवर्क कर रहे हो, टीचर ने तो पढ़ाया क्लास में, right? Now, this is something in
already mechanical engineer, no?
Yep.
So he has already that knowledge, and beyond office hours he is doing his work, no?
Yeah. Is it connected to what you do during the day or during your, I would say, employment? Okay, I'll tell you what's the answer to this. Okay. Pardon?
So idea can be generated at any point of time.
Absolutely fine. I understand that. Right. Maybe yes, second question padhenge na, to we'll get better clarity. What do I mean by that? A pharmacy professor beyond office hours provides consultancy and develops IP, which is in the telecom field. Now, files a patent, gets it commercialized, does the institute have legal right? Now you tell me. Most of you would say no, the institute doesn't have any right over something like, you know, what is being done at home, which is not connected to the field. Okay. Why is this important for students as well, I'll tell you. Maybe our generation doesn't know, there is a term called as a moonlighting, which is very common in IT. Moonlighting means आप जो sector में काम कर रहे हो, like for example, techies do it, a lot of these chartered accountants do it, a lot of even patent experts do it. During the day, they are having an employment, they are getting the salary, maybe evening mein ya 5 days week hai, like over the weekends, they are working in the same domain, providing consultancy unofficially. Okay, now, why is it called moonlighting? Why can't they do it legally? Okay, let me tell you. In law, the concept we call it as a conflict of interest. The term is conflict of interest. आपके जो भी so you being a government employee, you have certain rules and norms. What do you call them as? कुछ वो ये होता है ना service government resolution. No, but then no service कुछ what service rules basically, like so you have to sign on them when you join actually, the government rules and all actually, now I'll tell you what happens in the contract. These of course corporates are pretty much, the private industry is pretty much, they know what are the problems, what are the challenges they may be facing. The contract that you have is with the corporate, it's in simple words, it says you cannot do anything wherein there would be a direct conflict of interest. आप जो during the day mechanical engineering related activity कर रहे हो, anything, so why are we thinking in a direction ki the person is actually just providing consultancy and beyond office hours, then that means he would have the IP, the institute doesn't do that. He is doing for himself, okay. In other case, it may also happen that beyond office hours, the same professor is helping some other university ka mechanical engineering department to carry out the research unofficially. There is a clear-cut conflict of interest in the first case. That's not allowed. That's not allowed. The institute can still have a legal right or a say in the activities, because this is direct conflict of interest during the day, whatever you are doing, the technical know-how. Okay.
Sir, you said that in the NEP it is allowed for the government employee or professor to have startups and
I'm coming to that.
So I think in that case this is allowed, I think.
Right. Again, who owns the IP? Or who would get okay. Now see, now we have got these questions need to be answered, and now the NEP is telling you to have startups, but I'll tell you the practical problems for actually starting your own ventures as well. So okay, when we have these concepts called incubation centers. Incubation centers, although they are, let's say, at IIT, they are at Mumbai University, anywhere actually, pan-India, they are independent companies. The university premises mein hai wo. It's a separate company. They have to file separate tax. Everything is separate. Now, does university allow you to internally as a university or department to have your separate ventures? Is there a clarity on this basically? Now we don't have that clarity basically. Now post NEP implementation, or I would say once we have got these things, now you are speaking about having your own venture. Maybe before NEP you would not have even thought of that. Am I correct? Right. So now, but then the key question herein is, would the institute have any legal right? So probably this question would not have been there 6-7 years back when NEP didn't want, you were just expected to teach and do research. Now they are expecting this, they are expecting this. So your own startup is incubated at the same incubation center within your own university, but who owns the IP? Is it the startup, you as an individual, or the institute or university? Who owns the IP? This, किसके नाम पे IP file कर रहे हो? First thing. Second thing.
It depends upon the terms and condition which was decided.
Between?
Like, incubation center and the applicant, or institute, incubation center, or the inventor professor.
And
so
who is going to decide? Who is going to decide that?
Obviously, university. Or all these three bodies.
So, exactly my point is, this need to be clearly incorporated in your IP policy. I think Gayatri ma'am has sent me the IPR policy, but then I didn't get much of the clarity on many of these questions there. Am I correct? Firstly. Secondly, see, the innovation, the startup, the incubation, IP, ये जो चीजें हैं ना, these are not done in a day's workshop. What worked in 2018 doesn't work in 2025. These are ever evolving. You cannot have IP policy established in 2005 and executing in 2025. It need, I would say, revisions. And again, the IP policy it's just not a document. It needs to answer all these questions basically clearly. So, like, as simple as when a student does this, it should be like, you have those FAQs and all, right? Or maybe you have the hypothetical cases and answer these questions therein. Take these questions from me, put it in your IP policy. I'm happy to share the questions. Right? Now, now the first one, I completely agree, and of course, as you mentioned, now we are thinking, okay, I am doing the same stuff, now I am expected to do my startup, but then IP policy need to be mentioned in that case specifically. And that's where I said IP cannot be in isolation. It need to be part of, incubation center takes some percentage out of the startups, 3-4% ka wo, now does incubation center, does it also take money for or any money out of the commercialization then for the technology? Basically, what would you do basically as a scientist? What happens? I'll tell you, and this has happened with many professors. They say, mere paas, I'm working, I have a startup as well, still file the patent in my name. Why so? My name, because whatever happens to the startup, whatever happens to the job tomorrow, still the IP is with me. Now you need to balance these three things, basically. And these need to be very clearly mentioned in your, actually I would say, the IPR policy. The next thing, in this case, though, I fully appreciate and agree that institutes should not have a say in this specific case, which is a research outside, that's my passion basically, outside the office, I'm working on some crazy products. I'm a pharmacist, I work on tech side basically. Fine, that's your passion, you do it actually. Can institutes say that tomorrow that, although it's your passion, it's not a pharmacy professor, can they claim kal ho gaya series 1 round or you raised million, they would say, no, you are an employee. Actually, and we need, of course, some money out of it, whatever you are raising. Right? Now, these things need to be clearly mentioned in case of your IPR policy. Unless your IP policy answers these questions, आपके IPR policy में क्या है? Broadly overlook किया है मैंने. It has types of IPs. First thing, 3-4 pages वो है. Last में terms का definitions दिया हुआ है, 2-3 page. गायत्री मैम यही है, if I'm correct. It's like a typical policy which doesn't answer the ground level situations basically, or these so-called creative problems basically. Right? Now, as a institute, I would say, or as a university, you need clarity on the situations which have, and okay, how does the IP policy evolve? let's say ये तो पहले create हुआ था problem, ये अभी हो गया. You incorporate it into your IP policy as a test case basically, or include a clause which is a revised IP policy basically for that as such. How are we actually gonna do like, you know, in case now when we know that like, you know, the tech, so much of tech is involved. I'll tell you the biggest challenges with the startups, jahan pe when tech is involved, does the techie take some right? Entire your venture is based on the tech side, app ke basis pe aggregator hai. Does the techie have any right over it? You're outsourcing it, but then the techie says, okay, wait, they didn't pay me. They didn't pay me actually. Now, all these things need to be part of your IP policy. Simply speaking, जो भी धनश्री ने डिस्कस किया, who can file? An institute can file, an individual can file, like, you know, a legal entity can actually file basically. So, but then practically who can file? Would the patent be in the name of SNDT Women's University Mumbai? Would the patent be in the name of PV Polytechnic? Would the patent be actually in the name of a department under that? We have 8 to 10 departments under that, right? Would it be that department? Because legally it has different meaning. So eventually it's in the same ecosystem, but legally it has a different meaning, or it would be filed in the name of the individuals directly. This is the first step which need to give clarity. Now, the university policy has a clear mention that it has to be filed in the name of SNDT Women's University. How are we going to check it? How are we checking it actually? How are we executing the policy? How are we implementing the policy? Where is the check? Karna hai is fine. What if I file? What if one of the faculties file? Are you gonna sack them? Can you do that? No. Are you gonna have some penalty, fine on them? Is it allowed to have that? What is the way out then? Okay, SVKM faced this issue. SVKM faced this issue. SVKM, I'm taking the names because these are live cases which we can correlate to. SVKM, a huge university setups, multiple universities, multiple campuses, multiple locations, multiple departments, right? There is no control over anything. Fortunately, being a private university, probably the professors had, I would say, like, you know, that aggressive mindset to go ahead for patenting, actually, because we started working with them 8-9 years back. So the early years, the IPs that those were filed were in the name of individual inventors, right? Now SVKM is sponsoring it. Okay, SVKM is sponsoring it, or how the institutes are doing is, they are, in many cases, they are partially sponsoring it. Okay, 50% aap de do, 50% institute dega. In few cases, in fact, we were in discussion with one of the universities this week itself. What they are saying is, we'll pay you full, but it's a reimbursement. We are not going to clear the invoices. Reimbursement means what? That too after IP gets granted. What if a faculty files patent, he's an employee on that day, the patent filing till grant takes 2 to 3 years, let's say on an average. University is paying, and this was a practical problem by the dean who mentioned this. The university paid, patent is still in prosecution. There is only one inventor, which is the faculty. the faculty has left the institute and university is paying the money for that. And the IP policy says, if the IP gets commercialized, university gets this percentage and the faculty gets this percentage, irrespective of whether he is here or not. Sounds good? Logical? Sounds logical? Okay, let me speak with the, I would say, the administrators of the university now. Because right now I am speaking with the faculties who are the creators, who are the ones who are saying they have the creations, they are the ones who are IP filing. Unke paise nahi ja rahe, university is paying. Let me, at a private university, let me speak with the registrar pro VC. I'm sitting with them, I am telling them, this is the problem, sir. You have to pay for the faculty who has left your university. Would they do that? Do we have clarity on this in the IP policy? What if, that's fine, like, what is the cost? It's not, and of course, like, tomorrow probably, of course, it may be part of your IP policy, maybe, like, maybe when you go for taxation at that point of time, someone raises this query, oh, faculty to ja chuka hai, private university mein he is there, why are you paying for that invention? Although the patent is in his name only, actually, NMMS faced these issues. Patent किसी के नाम पे filed है. Initially, it was not in the name of university. It was not in the name of institute. It was in the name of individual. Vijay Shivpuje के नाम पे patent file है. SVKM is paying actually. SVKM is paying. I have hired an agent who is Janvi. Janvi is raising the invoices to NMIMS. I leave the institute. उसका examination report आता है. Examination report को जानवी reply करती है. Janvi sends the invoice to SVKM. SVKM pays it. The legally it's in my name. Now what they did, next came a phase wherein they made all these applications. So okay, just like your normal property gets transferred from one individual to others, you can transfer it from individuals to department, department to institute, institute to university, university to government as well. The transfer is pretty much allowed in any name. Applicant. We're not speaking about inventorship, we are speaking about applicants basically, or the assignee basically. Now, herein, what they did is, once they started learning these lessons, initially what they did is, they made the applications in the name of institute. Okay? Now, there is a catch. आपके कुछ faculties 5 साल पहले ही जा चुके हैं. And everyone doesn't leave on a good note. Some of these faculties are not willing to sign it, क्योंकि उसको तो पता है मेरे हाथ में, unless I sign, it doesn't go into the institute's name. It's like a property, 10, 10, 20 acres of land I have. I don't know that. Even in few cases, like, even I am not aware how it came to me through what channels and all. Suddenly one fine day I come to know, okay, this is your land actually, my land actually. But then, कहीं पे ये लिखा था कि if I sign, it would be in my cousin's name or something. I have the thumb rule there. I am not gonna sign. मेरे sign पे everything is dependent. Why would that faculty who has left, in many cases, unfortunately, let's say, the faculty during COVID is no more actually. Or some of the students or the faculties, who are these faculties at the private institutions basically? These are the faculties in many cases. अभी इस साल masters हुआ है, join as an assistant professor because that's the minimal position. सबसे पहले lecturer का position अभी है नहीं, assistant professor करके join किया हुआ है. अभी masters हुआ, एक साल में PhD के लिए कनाडा चले गए. Now, would she sign or would he sign on the assignment agreement to shift it to BNCP? or SPP, SPTM or whatever, Mithibhai College? No, they are not going to do that. Then came a time, now institutes also, then came a time, what they started doing now is, they realized the legal challenges and the consequences of all this. So we were bombarded, we filed almost 25 applications, daily we are getting queries, sir, you assign it to the particular institute first. Then came a day they are saying, no, not in the name of even university, file it in the name of trust, SVKM trust, right? So we're shifting those applications to SVKM trust now. How did this transition or transformation happen over 10 years period of time actually? Because they have learned through the process what are the challenges. Because kya hai, when it is, let's say these universities, of course everything is an independent entity basically. When the money comes into trust, if trust is paying, university was not paying, it was going through the trust's account, trust is taking the responsibility, okay, aap hame IP de do, we are willing to take it actually ahead, hum log uske liye paisa dene ko taiyar hai, provided the IP is vested with us. So the no need to see which faculty left, which student left, which institute, everything is in the name of the trust now. Everything is in the name of university. University authorities would change. The same thing happened in Jamnagar as well when I visited last week. Therein the dean got changed, the director got changed, the new director is saying I am not going to sign, reason being, although it was applicant, institute was applicant, but the director didn't know that actually, he felt it's the sign, the name basically, and if the old director has done, new director won't do, actually. If it's because it was in the name of director, it has to be in the name of university or the institute. If the moment you say director, new director, not gonna sign change ho jayega. He says, why would I take the legal risk? And actually, the invention got killed. Usko lapse karna pada wo application ko 2013 mein. The professor was like, sir, mera life ka best invention tha ye. Of course, the institute I am speaking about is the institute of national importance. It's like into Ayurveda, one of the biggest ones in India as such, right? Now, these things need to have clarity into your something called as IP policy as such. So, this is all about, I would say, the IP policy content basically, okay? Let us go few steps back actually and then try to correlate it with so what we are discussing, this is सब research हो चुका है, IP generate हो चुका है, commercialize हो चुका है, पैसा हो चुका है, पैसा आ चुका है. But how is it connected with the activities? How can we actually push the next generation, the Gen Zs, or maybe after some time the new generations who would be involved into doing all these things? I have got some slides which are with respect to, I would say, some of the important practices, I would call it as best practices pan-India. I have traveled more than 30 states offline, physically. What best practices they are getting, so this is not just IP, it's about innovation, it's about incubation, it's about IP protection as well as commercialization. Some of these practices, of course, again, it all depends on the university or the institution. If you have specific impact factor research paper or patent, then there is a specific, nothing works like a monetary benefit. This can be done actually. We do it at home. Most of us do it at home, right? तू इथं आज homework कर ले, मी बाहेर जाते 2 तासासाठी घरी बस, आल्यावर तुला हे बनवून देते. This is exactly thing that works for kids. What works for we, probably this thing works. Now, this is a great idea. Now, long back, when I speak to my colleagues, or I would say my batchmates, basically, long back it used to take a long time, many a times 6-7 years to finish PhDs, right? And now you think these Gen Zs, or the so-called boozy, that's the word, right? ये लोग 7 साल रुकेंगे for PhD? What is expected? What happened to our PhD thesis or the master's thesis? I had this opportunity to visit Pune College of Pharmacy, जहाँ पे मैंने masters किया. I was so happy to see my thesis. वो racks होता है ना library में, right? उसमें मेरा thesis मुझे कहीं तो मिला. But I could see that probably after 2004 it has never been even referred. वो एक बार चला गया अंदर तो चला गया, right? What is the outcome actually? Try to understand this from NEP perspective now. What is expected is not that you should create, I would say, the startups, or you should generate the revenue. What is expected is your research is more industry focused. Your research is more practical focused, which should be in a position to actually coming up with a new venture. It was, I think, few years back, IIT Delhi had allowed, आपका अगर startup register होता है, then in that case you get a PhD actually. That's wonderful. Probably in 1-2 years, of course there would be certain other conditions as well. 2 साल में PhD मिल रहा है, students are happy. Actually, like, you know, is it actually contributing to the society? That's what is expected at the end. That's where government is putting so much funds into the research. It should be helpful for the society. How does the number of year matter then? Why is it necessary? Agar, if my research is really good, if it is for the benefit of the society, why is it that I have to wait for 7 years for my PhD? Right? This is one of the practice. Of course, just not locally, we are trying to think it globally now. And this is how most of the Western universities, or I would say many of these companies work. We have wonderful example wherein same campus has a university as well as a corporate. Actually, both of them are like, you know, so the university is among global top 50 and the corporate is among global top 10. Actually, at the end, these are the, we are teaching to the students, these are the students who are either going to have their own ventures or they are seeking job in the industry, the same industry. A jewelry design institute or a fashion design institute, the students are actually going into the same profession, right? Why is it not possible? And this is exactly where the concept of incubation came into place, right? The startup or incubation, wherein you have those ventures at your campus. Why is it necessary to call external faculties to teach IP when we can create it internally, or is it is actually possible? Now think of SVKM's perspective. They have a patent agent, a lawyer like Hasti, who is at the institute or university. ये जो 7 दिन सीख रहे ना, this is part of your ecosystem for your entire year. You don't need to wait for me coming down here and answering your questions. She's right there. She's alone there. Oh, she doesn't know. She has that responsibility of connecting to the right stakeholders. Right? Next one, of course, establishment of IP cell, IP policy. Okay. A very interesting thing we do with some universities is this. Every thesis goes through IP cell. Every thesis. I think in the morning, Mamta was telling me कि अभी मुझे लग रहा है मेरे thesis से 3 patent निकलते हैं. The time, अब वो तो time तो lapse हो गया. Last 5 days, how many of you at least once thought, अरे ये तो मुझे पता ही नहीं था, ये तो मैं कर सकता था या कर सकती थी. इसमें तो IP डिजाइन हो सकता था, इसमें तो पेटेंट हो सकता था, right? What if I tell you that what we do is, so you are not the expert to decide कि इसमें क्या IP है. The thesis comes to us under confidential disclosure agreement. I have full thesis copies. I go through it. I know what to see, what not to see. I give you, and this is completely free of cost. Every thesis comes to us. We are commenting on that, sir, ये possible है. You confirm, then only we are moving ahead. There is no cost till that day. It is not necessary you should go through us. हमने आपको बताया, sir, इसमें ये possible है. You identify another patent agent who is giving you the same service at a lesser price, you go for it. Eventually, my thesis, which is sitting right there in the rack, would at least have some value out of it, which would be in public domain, right? This is one of the practice we have started with few universities and institutions. We have this concept of hackathons, annual events हमारे यहाँ होते हैं. Like, you know, when I was at your same fashion department, I forgot the good name of the lady actually. I think Dr. Jinal है ना? Yes. So I think what they do is they have a fashion show every year, right? So of course it's a kind of hackathon only. You're showcasing to the entire world what you have designed basically, right? And at that point of time, during those hackathons actually, like, you know, there is an IP expert who is evaluating and telling you right there, okay, why don't you go for this? This is pretty much feasible. There's no extra cost added to that, right? So in these actually, okay, there was this one wonderful concept, and it is pretty much possible at the university. If you think from my perspective, what is the strength of the campus, the number of students? 10,000, right? Any one of you runs YouTube channel? Sir, किसका है YouTube channel? Sir का है, right? Sir, कितने subscribers हैं? 600. Can't you get those 10,000 in a minute? It's a big number actually for a YouTube channel. It gives you eligibility for actually the I would say monetization as well. If you look from a third party perspective, this is big business for me. How many theses you have every year, let's say, for masters or PhD students as a campus or as a university? So much of big business for me actually. Think from my perspective. I'll tell you what IIS University in Jaipur did. Pretty interesting. You have these hackathons, annual events, right? What they did, अच्छा ये hackathons के बाद क्या होता है? There are competitions, right? Rangoli competition है, painting competition है. What happens after those competitions? So these idea pitching का आजकल, like, you know, maybe under startup, the incubation, innovation, idea pitching का होता है. What happens after that? I'll tell you. A medal, a certificate, certain cash. Now, this is not expected under incubation. I'll tell you what is expected under incubation. What is incubation? वो मेरे अगले कुछ slides में है. ये incubation I'll be speaking about. But what the university does is an amazing thing. In fact, IIS University, just Google it. It's a women's university in Jaipur. Now, IIS. Okay. What they do is, the winners of hackathon or the annual competitions, of course, certificate, that's part of your, like would say, you need it for NAC and document purpose, you'd give it to them. Beyond that, what they do is, they allow the winners to use the campus as a platform for 1 year. Next, जब तक competition नहीं हो रहा है. Think of it. The students from fashion design, the jewelry design, the food tech, even home sciences department, there are multiple departments under that. The winners are allowed to use the campus as a market for next 1 year. You come up with a new recipe, it wins in a specific competition. Now, The student is allowed to sell, of course, within the campus with certain regulations and all, sell the product within the campus for 1 year. What is gonna happen? If the student is from first year or second year, let's say, जब तक वो pass out होगा, either he or, of course, in this case, she has a probably a successful venture. We are giving, see, think from a perspective wherein, of course, everyone is not gonna actually succeed here, right? They may fail herein. It is absolutely fine if they fail here within the campus, in the guidance of incubation center. At least there would be someone to push them, because the day they go out, they are without this particular I would say security of incubation center or university. वैसे ही हम उनको push कर रहे हैं ना market में. You go and sell. Market में it's very difficult. At least here in this specific environment, we are giving them, those who succeed, that's an achievement for the university or institution. If they fail, at least when they are going out, that point of time, of course they are going ahead with. So we had in one of our programs, we had, all of you use Paytm, many of you use Paytm, right? Paytm Money ka CEO tha, he was on our YouTube channel, it's still there actually, like, you know. What he mentioned is like, you know, that was the fourth venture. 3 big failures ke baad, fourth venture which succeeded. Let the students fail here. That's fine. There is no problem. What is happening over a period of time is 1 saal, 2 saal, 3 saal, 5 saal baad hi sahi, there would be some venture which may be successful. It's a big market for me. Let them explore it actually. Let them use it basically. We had one of my, I would say, known ones, she had started, this was in 2017 or 18, herbal lipstick ka concept tha. And she was actually what she has done, I'll tell you is, although she did her PhD later at ICT, Institute of Chemical Technology, after master's, she was actually at stations, the local stations and wo local ladies compartment mein, she has gone there and tried to sell the products. I told her, hey, isn't it like आप अगर SNDT university में हो जहाँ पे पूरा female campus है, isn't it a big market for you? Don't allow it for outsiders, allow it for your own students, na? They are doing it for every year for the hackathon या जो भी at least it is possible for few, when it may not be possible for electronics or medicines, let's say, but it is possible for cosmetics. Is it possible for food, jewelry, fashion? It is pretty much possible. You are creating them as startups with those ideas within your ecosystem as such. This is the picture which we have taken in. So this is the picture which is being taken at Siliguri Institute of Technology in West Bengal. I had this opportunity to visit the place. One unique thing I saw, and I of course requested him and took this picture. You know who are these? हमारे campus में या at many institutions you would have बड़े लोगों के pictures वगैरह लगाते हैं. The very interesting part herein was, these are the ex-students जो last 2-3 years में who are struggling in the market with their own startups or ventures. They are not successful. They are the ones who are struggling. They are part of the ecosystem. They are coming to the institutes. But then, what works really well for the students is, and I'm pretty sure, like, you know, most of us would agree on that is, हमारे seniors क्या कर रहे हैं? These are the students जो last year pass out हुए, उसके 1 या 2-3 साल पहले pass out हुए. These are the students actually. They have put, and they are all these, I would say, students who are doing their own ventures basically with the idea. But then probably the seeds were right there when they were part of the institute. Now, the next thing, creative thinking. I think I have a full list of the techniques which can be done at a ground level as such. So can the innovation be learned, or is it only you have to be a genius one, आपके genes में ही होना चाहिए ऐसे है? No, there are actually scientifically proven techniques with live examples. Like, you know, we have this brainstorming, scamper, mind mapping. All, if you learn all these, actually, at least telling the students ऐसे at least at the master's level, PhD level, if you train them कि okay, how to select a research paper, उससे पहले अगर ये चीजें पता है, that's wonderful for them to understand कि okay, can it actually be done as such. Now, last one seems unique. Has anyone of you heard of this concept? Okay, this is at Chitkara University, Chandigarh. Cost is 500 rupees only. One of the most impactful ideas I could see as which can be done at an academic institution basically. थोड़ा सा उन्होंने फिर innovate करके, थोड़ा सा improvise करके came up with a great product, I would say, like, you know. हमारे यहाँ पे you have complaint boxes throughout your campus, right? We have so many policies. We have this POSH policy, we have anti-ragging policy, so many policies basically. We have complaint boxes, or there is a system which is, it is mandatory to have those committees in each of the institutes, जो website पे भी रखना, then आप कहीं पे ये लगाना भी mandatory. What these guys did is a wonderful thing, I would say. Instead of complaint box, they came up with a concept called innovation drop box. क्या है concept? Simple box है, जैसे आपका complaint box है वैसे ही. They have kept it at the university campus with the idea or the intent that the student need to understand they have to innovate as well. जब वो देखते हैं idea और इसको कैसे execute किया, the execution is way more important than the idea or the product herein. What they did is they put this innovation drop box right here, let's say. जो भी आज यहाँ आ रहा है, they would see what is this. The idea herein is, if you have any idea, any research idea, anything that you feel is business related, write it down along with your name, put it in the drop box. हम कर सकते हैं easily. इसके beyond क्या करते हैं वो मैं बताता हूँ, and that is more important. First thing they do is, first, of course, IP is a critical part of it. They check whether the idea is protectable under any of the IPs, copyright, patent, trademark, GI, whatever you call it as. Is it protectable? That part is being taken care by the IP cell. Now, beyond that, what they do is, they check, they have internal systems, they check whether there is a probability of a venture coming out of it. Of course, it starts with the simple ideas, the businesses. In terms of the business ventures, and that's what the incubation center wants. You want startups, right? You want ideas from the students getting converted into startups and part of the incubation centers. Third thing that they do is, and they check it practically there internally, what are the requirements from this box to market? What are the requirements? What is available inside the ecosystem? What is available outside the ecosystem? And what would be the cost for that? Great stuff, na? Right? अच्छा लगता है? सुन के, I asked them the, like, you know, next thing. How is it working, sir? What is the response from the students, from the Gen Zs, or what is that word? Boozy, right? What is the response actually for that? First 2 months, no one is bothered. then suddenly देखो क्या होता है ना, you hear me once, next day किसी और को सुनोगे, you'll forget it. They're seeing it daily, और वो ऐसी जगह रखे हुए कि they, oh, it is an impact. I would say every day, every week, every month, they're always seeing it. It has different set of impact on the students. Finally, one fine day, one student put something into that. And that idea is being evaluated by all three things, like, you know, for IP, for the business venture, as well as I would say the, like, you know, the feasibility actually, like, you know, whether we can take it to the market or not, basically. The entire thing is evaluated, let's say, for that particular. Okay, यहाँ पे एक unique चीज है. ये भी allowed है, ये भी allowed है. जरूरी नहीं है कि मैं electronics से हूँ, तो I should have ideas only with respect to electronics. अच्छा, execution needs a bit of legally, yeah, because what if मैं खुद ही बोल रहा हूँ CDA sign करो और मैं खुद ही बोल रहा हूँ ये idea execute करो. It needs some kind of, and they have done it very smartly actually. Okay, you need to reveal your identity along with certain credentials in that Dropbox actually, and that like, you know, is evaluated basically. Now, anything is allowed. मतलब आप कुछ भी करो, एक क्या हो रहा है ना, एक message, strong message is being delivered to the researchers, the master students, undergrads or faculties. Okay, wait, it's just not the thesis. Your idea, you can actually have to innovate. जो सब push कर रहे हैं ना, आप ये करो, ये करो. When they see it, exactly same thing. When they see it, be it failure, exactly that's what is happening. When someone sees it, first year में, ये this particular individual is selling, simply speaking, like, you know, you have that food ka wo competition, annual competition, and the winner is certain specific variety of vada pav, let's say. One student is selling for a year actually. Next year के students क्या सोचते हैं? At least something would come. I'll tell you how. That's how the ecosystem is created. Next year student vada pav के लिए नहीं सोचेगा. Next year student क्या सोचेगा पता है? अरे इसका product तो अच्छा है, but big क्यों नहीं रहा? इसका product तो अच्छा है, big क्यों नहीं रहा? Someone would think, because all these students are seeing it within the campus. मेरे में से मेरे, अरे मेरे my age, she is my classmate who is there. अरे product big नहीं रहा. The entire, probably out of 3,000, 10 लोग तो empathetic होंगे, 10 लोग तो smart होंगे to go and tell the student, hey, what do you do now? You actually try this out. कि don't sell in the morning. Morning में सब लोग जल्दी में होते हैं. 3 बजे के बाद, 4 बजे के बाद, थोड़ा सा most of us are hangry, right? And that's the right time to try it out. Simple idea, right? Let everyone think, and that's how the business works. I'm into business. I'm a first generation entrepreneur. Zero से start किया है. Now I have got a team basically. Eventually, this is what is expected from incubation center. Incubation center आपको technical training दे रहा है. I would say theoretical training दे रहा है कि आप marketing ऐसे करो, social media marketing ऐसे करो and all. We're giving a live example here with all these 3 cases. Innovation Dropbox हो, these role models वाला हो या hackathons वाला हो. Great practices to be followed. At least I loved this one. क्या होता है देखते हैं. And thereafter, and I'll tell you, Chitkara is one of the biggest IP filers in India right now. कितना देखो क्या है ना, we have throughout our from UG, junior KG to PhD, we have always been taught to compete with each other actually. I to come from Latur pattern, which is known for these nonsense things, I would say, to compete. Kaun first aayega. That's what 3 Idiots also says actually. We have never been taught to collaborate basically. Probably what is going to happen through these, like, you know, एक बच्चा अगर बेच रहा है, there is a higher probability that he or she would get good collaborator within the ecosystem. It can be a teacher, it can be a, I would say, a senior or a junior student basically, or from the same batch basically, right? So these are some of the practices which are promoting IP or innovation and I would say the entrepreneurship or the startup ecosystem in the, I would say, that particular setup. I hope I'm trying to cover the practical aspects of not just IP, but connecting it with the real life cases, NEP, startup, incubation, and entrepreneurship. I need break, and I hope Vinod sir won't mind. I need 5 minutes break because, and even I can see, like, you know, some of you are now, of course, it's been more than an hour I am speaking. So मुझे सुनना इतना easy नहीं है. So we'll have another round basically with wonderful slides ahead as well, and we'll be discussing about the incubation, what can be done, what is expected from incubation basically. Incubation center concept कहाँ से आया, incubation center क्यों बोलते हैं, ये सब सीखेंगे हम in the next session.